When we split up, I thought, I'll never write another note of music ever.
Let's talk about the new Paul McCartney video that just dropped on Amazon Video.
Yes, Man on the Run. Have you watched it yet?
Of course I've watched it. Part of my job as the host of Beatles Rewind is to watch every Beatles-related documentary.
What'd you think?
Yes, we are.
So jumping right into what we actually thought about it, the expectation versus the reality here was it was jarring.
Oh, absolutely jarring. Because I sat down to watch this with incredibly high expectations. You know, I had the big TV fired up, I poured a large, very cold craft beer, and I was just ready to be totally transported back to 1973.
You wanted the definitive, gritty account of those post-Beatles wilderness years.
Exactly. But 2 hours later, I am just staring at the credits. The beer is completely warm because I forgot to drink it out of sheer confusion, and I'm just feeling sober and annoyed.
It felt like a mood reel.
It felt exactly like a mood reel instead of a narrative story. You know my pause test, don't you?
I do. If you pause a video, not to savor a moment, but just to see how many agonizing minutes are left, it is failing the test.
Precisely. And I was hitting pause constantly, not to take a break, but to look at the progress bar and think, how are there still 60 minutes remaining?
The pacing is peculiar. It definitely meanders. But I think the real frustration, and you as a listener can probably relate if you know the history, is that the title writes a check. The film just refuses to cash.
Man on the Run.
Right. That title points to a very specific high-stakes moment in time. The Band on the Run era.
1973, which is arguably one of the most dramatic, dangerous origin stories in all of rock and roll.
It really is a survival thriller masquerading as a pop album. They were scheduled to record in Lagos, Nigeria.
And then we get the first bombshell that the film just glosses over, the night before the trip. Literally the night before, 3 of the 5 band members just walk out. They quit.
Imagine the panic. The press is already saying you're washed up, and your rhythm section just abandons you.
So Paul boards the plane with only his wife Linda and guitarist Denny Laine, a complete skeleton crew.
The mission was to make this massive comeback album with a band that effectively no longer existed.
And they face impossible odds in Lagos. I mean, the documentary touches on this, but completely fails to fully explore the chaos.
Like the medical emergency. Paul nearly died right there in the studio from a bronchial spasm.
He could not breathe. He collapsed on the floor. And keep in mind, they are not in London with top doctors. They are in a half-built studio in Nigeria.
And if that was not enough, there was the criminal threat. They are out for a walk and get held up at knifepoint.
The armed robbers stole the master tapes.
The only existing copies of the songs they'd written for the album. Stolen by guys with knives on a dark street.
Gone. Poof. He had to completely rewrite the album from memory the next day. And on top of all that, you have this massive cultural conflict.
Fela Kuti.
Yes. Fela Kuti goes on the radio and publicly accuses McCartney of coming to Nigeria to steal African music.
Which was an incredibly serious accusation. It turned the locals against them. The tension was palpable. Yet, despite the health scare, the robbery, the cultural clashes,
he produces one of the best albums of his entire career, complete vindication.
It is an incredible narrative arc. But the documentary just offers these brief glimpses of the high drama and then constantly pulls back.
It changes the subject just when it gets deep. It retreats from the drama to give us these sweeping atmospheric landscapes.
Oh, the landscape problem.
Coastlines, rolling fields, endless skies. I was constantly wondering, where even are we?
There was no context for them. Just these locations accompanied by indistinct background music that hovers somewhere between ambient and entirely forgotten.
But the most annoying artistic decision, the thing that honestly had me yelling at the television, was the fuzzy photo controversy.
The deliberate distortion of the archival photos.
It is maddening. They have these familiar historic images of McCartney and his friends, and the director just fuzzes them up. They degrade the images on purpose.
It is the exact opposite of someone like Ken Burns.
Exactly. Ken Burns pans across clear photos. He respects the source material. This technique literally removes information.
It is like being handed a book where the words are blurred just for aesthetic reasons. If you are sitting there watching on a high-definition screen, it is so frustrating because you want to see the actual detail.
You want to see the history, but instead you get a blurred mess.
Well, despite our visual and stylistic frustrations, it is worth noting that the professional critics have actually been very kind to the film.
I am still baffled by that.
I know. But it currently holds a 100% score on Rotten Tomatoes from 44 reviewers.
A perfect score. How is that even mathematically possible?
Well, if you look at the specific reactions, Chris Willman at Variety praised the energy of it. Though he did actually note that McCartney's voiceovers sounded more like voicemails than a proper visit.
Because they absolutely sound like voicemails.
And Kevin Marr, over at The Times, gave it 4 out of 5 stars. He praised the director, Morgan Neville, for letting the archive do the work. But he freely admitted there are no revelations here.
No revelation.
He called it a warm and cozy restatement of cultural history.
A cozy restatement. NPR gave it a thumbs up too, didn't they?
They did. The general consensus is that it delivers exactly what it promises. A cozy restatement, even if it wasn't the deep investigative drama we were hoping for.
I suppose that synthesis makes sense. It plays it very safe. Which brings us to the final verdict. Because the listener at home is probably wondering, after all this complaining, should you watch it?
The answer is yes. You should definitely watch it.
I confirm that verdict. Yes, you have to watch it. Because a world where you skip a Beatles-related film simply does not exist.
Paul McCartney is inherently compelling. He is always worth 2 hours of your time. I mean, the man gave us Sgt. Pepper.
Exactly. There are definitely moments that land beautifully. Real pleasure to be found despite the frustrations.
Especially when he picks up the bass guitar. Seeing him play the bass guitar in those archival clips is just undeniable magic.
It is pure magic. But my final thought on this whole experience is this. The true documentary about the Band on the Run saga, a focused 90 minutes purely on the insane drama of those Lego sessions, is still out there waiting to be made.
The definitive story of survival. We are still waiting for it.
Well, thanks for joining us today. Whenever you feel like knowing more about the Beatles, visit us at BeatlesRewind.com. It's the Beatles. All day, every day, 8 days a week. Cass will do it again tomorrow.
Right. I wouldn't miss it for the world.
Yeah.
Goodbye, everyone.
Until next time, when you listen.
Your mind directs its own documentary.